What's up, Heat fans? I'm Nic Rohloff here at the Heat Report. And on today's show, is a big trade coming for the Miami Heat as we do near the 2024 NBA trade deadline? We are getting very, very close. We're under a month away. And is Pat Riley and the Heat front office going to swing big for a trade? Well, that's what we're discussing on today's video. But let me know what you guys think down below. Give me your thoughts. Will the Heat make a trade this year at the deadline? Type Y for yes, type N for no. The reason why I asked this question, well, it's not a guarantee. The Heat did not actually make a trade to acquire a player at last year's NBA trade deadline. The only move they made, was trading away Dwayne Dedmon. Will they actually make a trade this year, or will they just go into the buyout market? Let me know. Type Y for yes, type N for no. But this all starts from Brian Windhorst, our good old pal at ESPN, because he hopped on his podcast and talked about the Miami Heat and had this to say. The Heat are within a few $100,000 of the second apron line, aka the tax line. They are not going to incrementally improve and end up in the second apron. If they're going to do a deal at the deadline, it's going to be a big move. And I don't know if that's going to be presented to them. Well, I think there's two ways you can look at this. There's the one where it's positive, where it's just like, oh, if the Heat go make a move, it's going to be a big one to really improve this roster. That's the positive. The negative, that he also said it's unlikely that presents itself to the Heat and Pat Riley. So, well, that kind of tells me we might be able to, we might be leaning towards another trade deadline where the Heat don't really make that big of a move and hold on to their assets potentially for the offseason. But if you might be asking yourself, what would a big trade look like? Who should be even considered as someone that would be a big trade? Well, I have three names that could technically be traded at the trade deadline that I would consider big trades. Those three guys: Donovan Mitchell, the guard from the Cleveland Cavaliers; Dejounte Murray, the guard from the Atlanta Hawks; and Lauri Markkanen, the forward from Utah. I think those are the only three names that you could even try to tell me are going to get dealt at the February 8th deadline, and the Heat would be willing to go in on them. Those are the three guys that I think if a trade did present itself, Miami would have to deeply consider going over that second tax apron and proving Brian Windhorst a little bit wrong. And I'll tell you what, if that is the case, if that does happen, make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to stay up to date on all Miami Heat trade rumors. We're under a month away from that February 8th NBA trade deadline. You do not want to miss a thing. We will have you covered up to that day, and we will have you covered on that day as well, better than anyone else. So hit that sub button and lock us in here. Let's get to 7,500 subs before that February 8th deadline. We're at 7,116 right now. I'll say this, though. It will not be Donovan Mitchell. You saw those three names that on that list. I don't think D-Mitch is going to be traded this offseason. I've been a massive proponent of that. I just don't see a way that the Cavs blow it up this year. I will continue to pound home that Donovan Mitchell will be traded in this upcoming offseason. He doesn't want to stay in Cleveland, and I think the Cavs will realize that, and with 1 year left on his deal before his player option, they'll trade him this offseason where Miami could be waiting. But this season, at the deadline, I don't think it will be D-Mitch. And Bleacher Report kind of put together the latest on Donovan Mitchell's trade rumors and had this little excerpt that I kind of wanted to show to all you guys to help hammer my point home a little bit here. The Cavs reportedly have no plans to trade Donovan Mitchell, despite buzz about the Miami Heat potentially being interested in trading for the All-Star guard. Sam Vecenie of The Athletic reported the Cavaliers are planning to ride out this season with Donovan Mitchell on their roster. And I've always said that, right? Like, that's always been the most likely outcome when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, because unless the Cavs just absolutely suck this year, which was possible, by the way. They currently have the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference at time of filming. The Heat are right on their tails, basically right there. But they had Garland go out with injury. They had Evan Mobley go out with injury. There was a legit chance the Cavs stunk it up. And if they did stink it up and they were like 4 or 6 games under 500 when the trade deadline rolled around, maybe they would consider creating a bidding war at this deadline and moving on from Donovan Mitchell. But because they're competitive, I believe they're going to try to go in and win a championship this year while Donovan Mitchell's on the roster, and then they look to trade the Spider-Man in the offseason when he evidently probably either asked out or they just come to the realization that he's going to leave in a year anyway, and they should recoup assets while they still can. More on the latest Miami Heat trade rumors. But first, we're sponsored by Factor Meals Today, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. And in the new year, get your New Year's resolutions started with Factor. Ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning. Skip the grocery stores, the prep work, the cleaning up, the cooking, the everything that just sucks about cooking. You can get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door instead, with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more. Plus, over 55 weekly add-ons. You have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast smoothies, juices, protein shakes, and more that help me keep going no matter what's on the schedule. And boy, do I have a busy schedule. And one thing that's also awesome about Factor, if you need a special occasion meal, whether it be for yourself, your family, or a special someone, well, they have that. Gourmet Plus is the perfect solution if you're looking for that fast upscale options done easily. So get started today with factormeals.com/NBAchat50. That is NBAchat50 at factormeals.com/NBAchat50. That link will be clickable in the chat and description of today's video. Going back to Lauri Markkanen potentially, though, I don't believe Lauri is actually in the cards for the Miami Heat. As good as a fit as he would be for the Heat, I mean, you slot him at that power forward position next to Jimmy and Bam. He provides offense. He provides defense. A core four of Tyler Hero, Butler, Bam, and Markkanen would be probably as good as a core four you'd find in the NBA. It also provides you a lot of versatility defensively. Just because I'm looking ahead at potential playoff matches against the Bucks and Boston Celtics. The Bucks have a two-big lineup. If with Markkanen, you could put Lauri on Brook Lopez and have Bam guard Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's a perfect matchup for the Miami Heat in that front court. You play against the Boston Celtics. If they go big and want to have Al Horford and Porzingis, well, you put Porzingis or Bam on Porzingis, Markkanen on Al Horford, and even if they run a small ball lineup, you can still put Markkanen on Porzingis and have Bam roam around on Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Jason Tatum because he's capable to do so. So the fit for Lauri Markkanen is just absolutely incredible on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. But I just don't see Miami actually pulling the trigger and having to deal with Danny Ainge at the deadline. As much as a fit as I love it to be, I don't see Miami actually going in on Lauri Markkanen, even though I believe they should. But how about Dejounte Murray? And we've talked in depth about him. He's the one where I think could actually get Pat Riley out of his seat, out of his napping slumber, and make a deal. But I first want to share this coming from The Athletic and the Ringers, Kevin O'Connor, because he said, from people I've spoken with, the Hawks are asking for 2 first-round picks in return for Dejounte Murray, who would prefer to join a team with a chance to make an immediate playoff run. So far, though, no one has met the Hawks' demands. Well, if no one's met the demands yet, could the Heat swoop in here? I mean, we're filming this coming off the Heat's 96-95 win against the Brooklyn Nets. And even though they've won 4 straight, it was ugly. And the Heat really struggled offensively the past 3 games. They won against Orlando 99-96. Then they beat Charlotte 104-87. And then they beat the Nets 96-95. One positive from that, well, the defense has played extremely well, holding their opponents to under 100 points for 3 straight games. The negative, well, they haven't scored over 105 points in the last 3 games. And you're going to need to score over 110, 115 to compete in the playoffs with the Bostons, with the Milwaukees, maybe even the 76ers, but I'm not really concerned about him. You add Dejounte Murray, you lose no defensive impact because he's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. He's a great point of attack defender where the Heat lack very much to disrupt the opposing top guard on a team. He can do that with his wingspan, his athletic, his lateral movements. But he's also having a career year offensively, averaging 21 a game, shooting 40% from 3, damn near 47% from the field. He is having a really good year offensively. You pair that up with his defense, and this Heat team could only get better. And I don't think you'd have to give up Tyler Hero. So your backcourt would be Hero and Dejounte Murray with Butler on the wing, Bam at center, and you're probably not giving up Jaquez either, so he could be your starting power forward. This is what a trade idea I think would look like if you're going for Dejounte Murray. You get him and Patty Mills. You trade Lauri, and you're getting Mills added in because you got to match Lauri's contract, which is way more than Dejounte Murray's at this point in time. They wanted 2 first-round picks. So I'm offering the 2027 first-round pick to get 1. Now, I wonder if they just want value of 2 first-round picks or legit 2 first-round picks. Because if they're okay with it being valued 2 first-round picks, then we could throw in Nikola Jovic, which that equals a first-round pick. That's the way he's playing this year. His potential really flashes. He has the potential to be the first-round pick value. So they get 2 first-round picks plus an expiring deal like Kyle Lowry. You move off Dejounte Murray, whose extension is set to kick in this upcoming offseason, and you get a lot of money off the books. You get a young, talented player that's really flashed in Miami, and you get an unprotected first-round pick in 2027. I think the value checks out here for the Hawks in return for Dejounte Murray. It's just all about if the Heat would be willing to get down and really send that offer to Atlanta and Landry Fields and potentially get that really moving. And that's why I want to turn it over to you guys. It's my trade idea. You see it on screen right now. Would you accept this trade? Type A for accept, type D for decline. It's a fascinating trade offer. It would suck to get rid of Nikola Jovic for sure, but I just think adding Dejounte Murray to this core 4 of Jaquez, Hero, Jimmy, and Bam to make that a really elite 5-man lineup, I think it's too good to pass up. I might type my A's. Make sure you guys do subscribe as we do head out on this video. We will have you covered with more trade rumors leading up to that February 8th NBA trade deadline. So lock us in here at the Heat Report. I'm Nic Rohloff. Make sure you join us for our live watch parties on a weekly basis too. We're live tomorrow, Wednesday evening against the Toronto Raptors as the Heat go for their 4th straight win. Let's see if they can do it against the Raptors and hit that sub button.